International news now.
So briefly, we want to cover a few stories in the news today. One about the caravan of people from Central America that's traveled through Mexico and is now seeking political asylum in the United States. And we're going to give you a North Korean update that is getting prompted by an early discussion on the Sunday news programs about a Nobel Peace Prize for President Trump. So let's begin with a clip from CBS News yesterday morning on the story about political asylum.
Big news this morning. We're going to start with this. A caravan of Central American migrants traveling for more than a month is at the U.S.-Mexico border trying to cross. U.S. officials are trying to keep the group of nearly 200 people out. They want asylum, but have not been allowed to start the application process.
Customs and Border Protection officials say the San Diego port of entry is already full. President Trump vows to stop the caravan, which has become a flashpoint in the immigration debate. Maria Villarreal is just across the border in Tijuana, Mexico. Maria, good morning.
Well, good morning. The U.S. port of entry is about 100 feet right behind me over here. Between here and there are rows of migrants. They are choosing to sleep on the cold, hard floor. We're talking about families with young children and mothers. They have decided to camp out here because they want to be the first in line tomorrow morning when the doors open so they can seek asylum from the U.S. They have been told that this process can take several days, and there are no guarantees they will get in. A showdown at the border as the caravan of Central Americans attempted to cross into the United States Sunday. Some climbed the border wall but didn't cross over to draw attention to their ultimate goal of asylum. Nearly 200 people lined up to approach the port. Maylene Charlotte Prado is from Honduras and applying for protection because of daily violence in her country. The truth is there's too much violence. There are daily killings and violations of human rights. At one point, the group swelled to around 1,000 people as they made their way north from Central America through Mexico to Tijuana. Along the way, they crammed onto trains and buses. With the few belongings they could carry, the caravan is now down to around 200 people, many traveling with children.
Watch the caravan. Watch how sad and terrible it is.
President Trump has warned they will not be allowed in the U.S.
I call them the dumbest immigration laws anywhere on earth. If a person puts their foot over the line, we have to take them into our country. Lawyers are telling them what to say.
Immigration lawyers deny they are coaching the migrants. On the U.S. side of the border Sunday, dozens gathered to show their support for the refugees.
We have, I think, a legal obligation to at least hear these claims of asylum. So the way that he's used the caravan to stir up anger, hatred, and racism in the far right, it's concerning and it's offensive.
Several Border Patrol agents say that there were people who actually crossed the border illegally that were associated with the caravan by climbing over a metal scrap wall. For the people, though, that are here and are waiting, we know that several of them have been given white armbands to wear. These are the people that have met with the immigration attorneys. They feel they have good cases for seeking asylum, and they are asking that those cases take priority when the doors open later this morning. John?
So, Maria, what exactly happens next for those people who are waiting in line?
Well, for the people that are waiting right now, they have to choose or show that there is a credible fear of returning to their home country. They have to show this and prove this to an asylum agent, also to an immigration judge. About 3/4 of the cases that do that actually make it through this process. If they do, some of them will go to a detention facility. They could be possibly separated from their families during that process. Others of them are allowed to actually stay with family in the United States. They are given ankle monitors so that they can watch over them while they are in the United States. All of this is happening while they wait to see an immigration judge, and that could take several months before that actually happens.
Very long road ahead. Maria Villarreal, thanks so much in Tijuana. Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about this story. And the first thing to do is we want to differentiate asylum seekers from the broader group of immigrants that we were talking about earlier, right? This is political asylum. All right, these individuals that have to demonstrate that they are a member of a threatened group in their home countries, right? And many of these individuals say they're being targeted by gangs in Central America and will be killed if they return. So this is a unique political status, a unique political class of immigrants.
Differentiated from economic migration, that they're just immigrating to seeking jobs. And so there's legal differentiation here that changes the responsibility of states according to certain treaties and the like. And so,
and there are significant hurdles to acquiring this status, right? This is an extended legal process that occurs before people, where there's a heavy investigation of the claims of being targeted or being threatened are, they're investigated comprehensively by immigration officials. Now, let's talk a little bit about the politics of this. We saw within the clip that Trump is very critical of this group. So originally, and he's been tweeting about this group started off with about 1,200 people making the journey from Central America to the United States. It grew as press coverage of it, as they gained more attention through press coverage. Trump was critical of the Mexican government allowing these people to move across Mexico because he knew that the final destination of these asylum seekers was the United States and was not Mexico. The group is now down to about 200. Politically, what's going on? President Trump is using the issue to tout weak immigration laws in the United States. So he's using this to talk more broadly about we've got to fix the immigration system. Right? We saw in the clip the critiques that, suggesting that, right, the people that are seeking asylum are being manipulated by people with their own political agenda in the United States, immigration lawyers, for example, that are trying to push back on his policy. And the narrative that he's constructing about this issue, again, this is consistent with his larger agenda about the need to secure borders. And note the rhetoric and how this is talked about, right? This is about security and safety. And this is why I want the border wall. This is why we got to protect our border and prevent people from coming in, because we don't know if people coming in are good or bad.
Right, and he's diminishing the claims that these people face real threats in their home countries, and he's questioning implicitly and sometimes explicitly what the U.S. responsibility is, even if they do face those threats. And so there is a broader ethical debate about this, and granting legitimate, legal asylum to those who are trying to escape real threats in their home countries. This arose under the Obama administration, when there were large groups of minors, children who were under the age of 18, that were traveling from Latin America through Mexico into the United States and showing up on the border because they were trying to escape gang violence, mostly in these Latin American countries. And there was a real ethical dilemma here, because this was such a risky trip to make that a lot of these youths were risking their lives to try to make it to the United States, and we didn't really want to encourage that sort of trek. Yet by accepting large groups of them into the United States for asylum, you're sending actually the opposite signal. And so the United States has been grappling with this for quite some time, because asylum and this problem of large groups trying to escape violence, especially groups of minors coming into the United States, poses a dilemma, because if you encourage that, you're just going to have even larger exodus into the United States. And the United States government has been pretty ambivalent about what's best for U.S. interests and even the target groups in this scenario. So it's a complicated issue.